DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
We continue now as we see SK Gaming battle for survival. It may confuse some, but no, a best of 3 versus Mousesports will determine their fate here in Jönköping. It is the DreamHack ASTRO Open 2017, and we have a big best of 3 ahead of us. It is none other than Mousesports that will face off against, well, back-to-back major champions, albeit with a roster change. We do get to see SK back in action, and they are revving their engine. They're on a holiday here. Fallen said in his interview yesterday, 45 days in Europe. They're going to be hanging out, boot camping, and doing an event, and it all starts here, where they look to try and get one of the many trophies they aim for under their belt. Joining me, and wearing belts, I hope, are none other than Halvor Vendetta Gustav. Bang. Nope. No, you see. You're not quite there yet. You know, event 3 is when you start wearing belts. Yeah. I am wearing one. Just check. That was close. But anyway, Halvor Vendetta Gustav and the ever-lovely Jacob Pimp Vinegar. Now, gentlemen, we've got an intriguing one here because I'm actually uncertain as to what people's opinion are going to be of, well, expectations. SK Gaming losing to Immortals. We'll start our discussion there because it happened. That the reason we are in this scenario where it's one best of 3 away from seeing SK knocked out of groups, albeit not necessarily the most likely, is because of a game versus Immortals. Let's quickly recap that. Jacob, I'll let you kind of remind us what happened there. What was the map?
Yeah, we saw them play on Cash yesterday, and to me, it was a sign of SK's map pool not deep enough right now. They've tried to play Cash more. They tried to pick it. They played at the Pro League as well. The results lately haven't been great on it. Immortals is notoriously known as a good Cash team, and we saw how it went down yesterday. It was a very, very convincing Immortals win. And I simply just feel that Cash is just not ready for SK yet. I know we're talking about like they're only 1 loss away from going out of the tournament. It was only a best of 1, and it was on a map that I feel SK are just not comfortable with yet. You know, so I won't put too much into that yet.
No, I'm just trying to make these people stick around.
I know.
Don't watch Mousesports get stomped. I think we kind of pull on that thread a little more just because I'm interested. Does this happen quite a lot, do you think, in the group stages of tournaments? When it's best of 1, you've got the fallback of the lower bracket, essentially, to experiment, see where the map is at, gauge it.
Like when VP at DreamHack Leipzig last year decided to play Dust 2 for the first time in God knows how long?
Yeah, I still remember Taz looking me straight in the eye at an event and just going, "Our Dust 2 is sick."
I mean, good poker face.
It got taken out of the map pool. It did get taken out of the map pool, though.
Yeah, they're probably praising the, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, all the mighty things.
And Na'Vi, of course, their insta-ban cash suddenly became a bit more confusing.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. But obviously, I think this is a good opportunity because you have the lower bracket, because you have a second chance to actually go into it.
And for 45 days.
Yeah, and the best part of it is that obviously when you go down to the lower bracket, it's not a single elimination, or it's not a best of 1 elimination match either. So you do have, you know, the chances of actually making mistakes. Obviously, if SK decide to go into this match as well and also pick cash, and they lose because of it, then obviously you have yourself to blame. But it's like they said, they have to work out their map pool. I think that's what they want to get you know, shored up before they get into the major territory.
Are SK one of the teams with the deepest map pool, or is it still a process of getting Phelps comfortable? I mean, they used to be.
They were. I think for now, no.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that they still can't take maps off of you know, the ones who have wider map pools on necessarily, you know, their weaker maps. It's like Train, for instance, used to be one of the staple maps for SK, and now it's more of a shaky thing because they can't really find that good, sweet balance between being aggressive on CT side and just holding it back at the right times and so on.
It's so strange, isn't it?
Exactly. And, you know, even though that happens from time to time with SK and that does tend to lose them games, they can still play a normal SK Train game every now and again and still beat the best team, or like the other best teams in the world around them.
Yeah, and up against them, setting up their mouse and keyboard quite appropriately, is Mouse. They are ready and waiting on the stage. And it's an interesting roster. You may, if you've just living under a rock for the last couple of months, half a year, you may not necessarily recognize this Mousesports roster. It has undergone many a change. And at this point, oh, look at that.
Checking out demos.
Demo watching being done. This is the 5 names that will be jumping in the server versus the Brazilian superpower. Oscar, Rops, Chris J, Lowell, and Dennis. And I mean, what a mixed bag of flags as well. It really is so cool now. It's a different nationality from every single member. Perhaps Chris J is an honorary German, but all in all, it's another international roster put in the same category as FaZe.
Yeah, and it's completely unheard of, really. Like, if you go back, obviously, to before CSGO came out, actually just playing across borders with people, unless you were, like, Scandinavian, it was
still not that common.
It's still not that common, and that was kind of just an unheard thing, or unheard of thing to actually do, because communication, we all know that it's so vital within CS that you kind of felt that that would be too big of a detriment to actually make work, even though you potentially could find, obviously, better individual players from other countries. It just wasn't worth the sacrifice. But we see that with time, players and teams are able to adapt to it and actually make it work. You know, whether or not it's have to be, you know, half and half kind of communication, where, you know, the guys who speak German, for instance, like go switch back to German if they're in a 2v2 or what have you, or if you have to find new names for new positions or new callouts or what have you. It's definitely possible, which you know, a team like FaZe has shown us, and now Mousesports obviously stepping up or you know, taking their strides through the ranks.
You've already made it super clear, Jacob. I mean, you speak perfect English, but I imagine you'd still. You've communicated in Danish in a team, you've communicated in English. I imagine there's no question you'd rather be doing it in your native tongue.
For sure. Like, I felt it was very difficult in the beginning, communicating in Liquid. My English has always been okay. My pronunciation sucks a little bit, but I've been working on it. But like, when you're in pressured situations, like, you tend to go back to your roots, you know. And like, I remember in the beginning, some of the first official games I played against Cloud9 over there, I caught myself, like, calling out stuff in Danish, like, to my mates, you know, and it was like, I'm pressured, you know, just listen. So it's very tough. I feel it's a learning curve, it's a learning process for all teams, all players. If you ever want to go international, don't expect to master it right away. You know, you gotta learn it. You gotta understand that each like, it's kind of like a region thing, in a culture thing in Counter-Strike as well. Like, Brazilian teams have one way to play, Scandinavian teams has another way to play, American teams has a third way to play. You know, and you gotta, like, learn the different cultures and the different tendencies from each teams.
And do you consider there aren't really clear cut? Could you describe the styles, or is it much more of a feel, more of a hard to quantify?
Yeah, I feel like in NA, like, I can only, like, hold that up against the Scandinavia, but I feel like that's it's a lot more based on individual stuff. A lot more. It seems it's hard to explain. It's more like you do what you feel for.
It's feel. It's feel.
It's more like feel based, and you hope your aim can carry it. Whereas in Denmark, most often it's like communication. It's strategical. Like, there has to be a thought behind what you do. If you don't have that, then you're an idiot, basically.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, that's probably a lot of it is cultural as well.
Exactly.
There's definitely some connections there between the American way and the Scandinavian way of let's think this through and let's go on feel.
Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense when you think about it. But now let's have a look at those vetoes. Already we see Mouse remove Overpass. Nuke is SK's choice to get the hell out of there. And now we have Inferno. I think this might be the first Inferno we've seen here in Jönköping.
Yeah, that's correct.
Or John Coping.
Yeah, and a bit of a surprising pick from Mousesports, not necessarily because they don't play it, because Mousesports is actually one of those teams who actually have a fairly even amount of games played on all 7 maps, as is right now. But I guess this might be, you know, partly because we've seen very up and down performances from SK on Inferno as well. It might be one of the maps that they've focused more on as of late, you know, with the time they've had between Pro League and now.
I wish I'd asked you before that veto started what's not going to be picked, because I feel like you'd have said Cash, Jacob.
Yeah, that's surprisingly to me. Like, I don't understand, or I do. Like, it's SK, and they have their reasons for sure. But leaving in Cash as a third map is a huge risk to me. Like, that's the perfect third map for Mousesports. They are notoriously known for being one of the best teams in the world on Cash, despite only being a top 20, top 15 teams at some point. They still have one of the very best Cash in the world. So having that as a third map must be a great feeling for Mousesports, really. SK must believe so much in their cast. They must believe that could be a coincidence, could be a bad best of one, could be the national aspect, the domestic lineup going up against each other. I don't know. It's interesting. I would love to hear Fallen's thought process behind it, because I would definitely have left in train and went for a ban for Cash.
Do you not think it could just be something as simple as, when Fallen said in the interview before, do you not think it could just be something as simple as, well, we could keep practicing it. We're going to beat Mousesports. It's that kind of confidence. Do you want to do that in an
elimination game, though?
I don't know. You might be right.
Yeah. I kind of want to find that interview that Hucko did.
Okay, we're going to have
probably to look that up, just to find that amazingly confusing like thought process that they had as to you know, how they went about their vetoes, because it kind of gives me similar flashbacks as to why you want to go that route. Because again, I don't think it matters for Mousesports all that much whether or not you get Cobble or Cash or what have you as a third map, but I think it matters a lot more for SK, especially with how they've been so very up and down on a map like Cash. I think it's a much safer choice.
I'm about to put you guys on the spot, I'm afraid. We are in the essence of time doing quick predictions. So I'm looking at you, Jacob. I need a team name and third map question mark.
I think we're going to see SK take it 2-0. I hope we are, because I'm afraid if not, then we're going to go for Mouse. So I hope for SK 2-0. I think it's going to be SK 2-0. But if it goes to the third map, then it's totally open.
Well, there you go. Cash seriously questioned after seeing them
totally
yesterday.
Open.
Yeah. Echoing his sentiment, really. It should be a 2-0 for SK in my book, but Cash is pretty open. And to be fair, SK have looked, have had similar shaky tendencies that they have on Cash on Inferno as well.
Well, in order to get closer to the Cash, they're going to clash on Cash on the third, but before we get there, they have to see if they can overcome the hurdle that is taking a map off SK. Immortals have done it already. We'll see if Mouse can do the same. And now we've got the Mouse and the Cheese joining us from the casting desk. Hello, handsome men.
So
who's who?
Yeah, I was going to ask, who is who?
Go ahead and explain that one.
Okay, so here's the explanation.
All right.
Dust, your Twitter feed makes my toes curl. You're the Cheese. Vince, you're the Mouse because you're just such a, you're so agile, and I feel like you'd take a nibble from Dust occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at me, the first word you think of is agile.
Absolutely. I saw you lifting those legs over that security rope earlier.
He can
be like that Vegas showgirl, dog. He can get them legs up there now. Don't let his looks fool you.
What has my life become?
One last question before I let you guys enjoy this one.
Sure.
How are the vocal cords doing after that ridiculous 5 overtimes?
You should really ask more about his bladder, because that was the rough part.
Yeah, that's a line crossed, but we'll do it anyway. Vince, do you need the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
Not just
Step 1 complete. All right, I'll let you guys enjoy this one. See if we get a third.
Cheers, Alex. Yeah, I mean, SK, they'll be wanting to make amends for that previous performance against the Immortals. And it was on Cash, but I know you have maybe a difference in opinion when it comes to Cash with SK.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, these two teams played each other on Cash at the start of this month, and it was actually pretty one-sided in SK's favor. They won it 16-8.
Yeah, so head-to-head, they've beat them on Cash. Not only that, but even with the loss to Immortals yesterday, they're still 8-2 offline on the map. This is like one of the biggest map pool shifts that SK has had, is taking Cash from being a map that used to be a permaban to kind of moving Nuke into that slot. And now with Phelps on board, they've actually really put a lot of work in the Cash, and they are there, in my opinion. Yeah, they lost to Immortals yesterday. That was a bit of a fumble, but before that, they had only lost it once out of 9 plays. So, I mean, I think that they're fine on Cash, actually. I do think this is a smart pick from Mousesports, though, to go ahead and try to grab Inferno, because that is probably on the weaker end of SK's map pool right now. And while Mouse themselves have only played it a couple of times total with this 5, if they've put any work on it, try to catch, like I said, SK on a map that is kind of on the weaker side of the map pool. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, and of course, also Mirage was played in that previous best of 2 these two teams played, and again, pretty one-sided to SK 16-7. Inferno wasn't played. Is this a map where you feel either team really shines, either team has the best chance of picking it up?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know too much about Mousesports' Inferno because, like I said, they've only played it a couple of times since Rops has been on board and since Chris J's taken over the in-game leadership. I think it's 1 online game and 1 offline game, so not too much of a sample size there to really know too much about Mouse. But again, I think if you're trying to pick against SK, Inferno's not a bad shout compared to some of the other maps in the pool.
Alrighty, well, let's see how things come down. Phelps, right off the bat, is going to go ahead and land himself a USP frag and pull himself back to the side, which is allowing the rest of SK to maneuver their way onto the A side of the map. Taco with another one. Phelps is going to whiff quite a few bullets there. May not end up mattering too much, but Fallen is very much going to go the same way. And this is suddenly getting into a bit of a sketchy situation for SK Gaming. The bomb may very well get planted by Rops, and I think Mousesports will feel pretty happy about that, all things considered. Now, can they hold on for dear life? All 3 players have been tagged. A couple on SK are fairly low as well, but Chris J is going to connect the dome shot onto Fur and lay him out. Taco still from the pit. He's just waiting for a pixel to show itself to try and take the odds back in the favor of SK, but it's been taken away from them now. Time is starting to tick down. It's just Fallen who has a kit, needs all that remains with his USP. And he has 2 bullets as well as a result of spamming so much from Library. He's landed 1 tap. Can he get it onto Oscar as well? No, he's missed out on his chance. And although Oscar's going to land the knife, the round was his anyway. A real strange end, but Mousesports have picked it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was just Mousesports being able to crash the site early and get in there rapidly and just set up, get that bomb planted. Taco, he was able to hold on to Pit to at least give his team a chance to rotate and create some pressure, but he had such low HP, he couldn't actually get anything done. And I feel like SK just really got held up on that Moto Rat. We're just never able to find the kills they were looking for. And so, well done to Mousesports to secure that pistol round. We'll see SK buying up. CZ across 4, P250 on Fallen, of course, and no armor. He wants to get that AWP early, so he's not going to put too much into this one compared to the rest of his team. As we are going to see Mousesports open up, just, you know, pretty typical stuff. One guy towards apartments, some fighting for control of Banana now. There is one player playing up close. It's going to be Fur. He's backed up by a flash, perhaps from CT spawning. He'll peek with it. Does get a little bit of damage in on the Chris J. In fact, a lot of it onto him. Dennis low as well. Tries to put in a bit more, but still no frags.
Yeah, I went for the same idea twice in a row. And although, as he highlighted, it did take down Chris J pretty low. Wasn't enough to get any kills outright. The CZ will not be striking on this occasion. Still though, SK have another 3 CZs to fall back on, plus a smoke, so Phelps could maybe try and cause a couple of issues on the approach here. Now that he's seen the play, he's going to be throwing up that smoke to try and waste some valuable time.
And they have a good rotation here. 2 already on B, 1 floating around in CT spawn, smoke going down. Fallen has a very tricky position. This could be very hard to clear. Can easily get one and fall back and stay alive a bit longer. So Mouse, even though they have a superior amount of firepower here and they have the numbers, it can still be dicey to deal with this when you consider the positioning SK has right now.
At this stage, additionally, Mousesports really have no information. They know there's a couple players on this site, but it could be a stack for all they know. Now they're starting to push their way in. There's only 17 seconds left, but they're finally getting the entries that they've been so desperately seeking. Coldzera and a CZ in hand. Can't stop the bomb plant. He's going to get 1 kill. It's looking like maybe a second was on the cards, but instead it's still on Taco. And judging from his position, surely he's just going to look for some exits and try and hold on to the CZ if he can, because alternatively they're going to have really nothing going through into that next round.
You might as well try to pose a similar threat next round as you did in this one by having that CZ armor, as opposed to trying to go for this with no kit and just really no chance. I mean, there's a lot of players low, so we can get some more guns down and force some rebuying out of Mousesports, don't get me wrong. And there is one right there as he does take down Rots, but that should be the end of it. And so it will be 2-0 Mousesports, but that was a dicey round. Look how low the HP are on some of these guys. Like, it wasn't a foregone conclusion. They were definitely going to secure it. Again, if Fallen gets 1 kill off that boosted spot and stays alive, you know, that could have been a lot different. So credit to Mousesports for finding a way out of that with a second round. And of course that CZ armor will still be on Taco, but outside of that, this should be pretty much a full save, and it will. Just 1 flashbang on Fallen, so maybe you're going to see something a little bit gimmicky. I mean, that's really all you can hope for in a round like this, is to pull off something tricky. See if you can't make something crazy happen, but a lot of banana pressure coming in, and Fur is already down, and now the B-bomb site's wide open as it was a stack on the A side.
Not going to push behind it just yet. Very much for the same reasons as last round. Could, for all they know, be a stack here. You haven't seen anyone else so far. Taco is through with a CZ. Gonna land the headshot onto Chris J. Dispatching of him. But now the push is in effect. Shifting through the gears onto the B side. Bomb will be planted momentarily. Taco's gonna come back in again. The only real weapon of any kind of potency on the side of the CTs. Rops is going in for the farming. UMP in hand. It's going to pick up 3 kills in quick succession, and Oscar will finish off the rest. Solid start by Mousesports, but this is where the tests start to come to fruition. And, well, Fallen does actually have an AWP.
Yeah, and he's also a B-heavy opera. He's one of those guys that loves to play B. I know a lot of other operas will play like an arch rotator or more towards the A side, but he is definitely one of those guys that likes to play B. A lot of the Brazilian operas are that way, in fact. Henny, Yell, you know, they're very well known for that. And it's certainly spread to other regions also. So they're going to have a harder time getting banana control now is really the point I'm trying to make with Fallen being over there. He can be so good at maneuvering around and finding kills and making it difficult for you to gain real estate for free. But it looks like Mousesports have their eyes on a heavy apartments play. It's definitely something they like to do, just pop flashing out of balconies sometimes, just try to explode out onto pit. They're going to do it in combination with a very fast maneuver up lane, so being very aggressive, which is a trademark for them.
Coldzera almost was thinking twice about finishing off what he starts, but comes back in with 3. Turret-esque, known for Mousesports checking it, and they are going to be obliterated. Chris J's been spotted, dwindled down to 40. He's going to land a frag onto Fur as he peers around the corner, but Coldzera picks up a 4th. Just what SK were hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad idea for Mouse, considering they know that Fallen's going to be opping B, and knowing that probably the rest of the buy isn't that great as far as like how much utility is going to be out in play. So there wasn't a lot of counter nades to stop them from being able to get up balcony. But just Cold having a great angle there, didn't really have a flash or anything to get him out of there. That's such a tricky angle to deal with when you're coming out of apartments. If you don't have some type of pop flash that's going to pull him out of position. And so a round goes to SK, and we are going to see Mousesports now slow things down as they do have an AWP in Oscar's hands. while they do like to move fast and be aggressive, they do like to still line up in default. It's just that once they find a pick, they're usually pretty quick to follow it up. They don't usually hesitate after they find that first opening, as Dennis is going to be looking for one here from Boiler. coldzera, though, has that crosshair placed right in that direction, waiting for just a glimmer of something, as he will re-smoke middle.
Dennis can catch him, though. coldzera, somehow, some way, whimpers off with 2 health. Looked like he was almost a guaranteed kill. Mousesports still going to try and get themselves back into this round. Oh, going to lose Fallen, and that's a key pick. Not just getting that first kill, but it's also the AWP that's dead and buried. And Incendiary is going to fly through with it first, spamming up through the smoke. Able to capitalize on the 1 kill. Looking for a second, not too far off on that one, Oscar. But the bomb now is transitioning through, and Fur seems to have a 6th sense for when players are pushing through the smoke. Taco elsewhere on quad will take out Dennis. But the bomb's been planted, and this is going to be a rough retake, you have to feel. They have only 2 flashes. They've got kits, but coldzera's low. Solid positions have been assumed by Mousesports. They have banana control. Oscar, I thought he saw him there. There we go. He has a double take on it. Lands a second onto Taco. And now things have got that much more difficult for SK. One-dimensional retake, both from the construction side. Oscar's going to miss this one, but Rop should be there on point to deliver the last couple kills. First spins around and actually connects that shot, but it doesn't seem to matter because both Fur and coldzera are low. And Lowell is having none of it. SK concede, and their economy's back in the dumps.
Yeah, I mean, just so much responsibility on Fallen there to hold Banana solo, and usually he's good for it, but that time was just a bad timing. He got caught kind of dodging a flash or something. It was an easy kill, and so despite Fur's efforts to try to, slow them down and allow the rotate to set in and maintain control of construction, which he did, Oscar is able to close the deal with the AWP on the main push through CT spawn, and so that means a reset to SK Gaming. They'll actually buy up all that they can, though. I guess kind of knowing that they're in kind of this weird double eco, double force buy type situation anyway, so you might as well try to load up on this round, see if you can't fight right back. Try to reset your opponent yourself, and if it doesn't work out, then you just take a full save next round. You prepare for a buy a little bit later on down the road. As Mousesports again opening up fairly default, typical positions for everyone. Lau working over there towards the apartments. They're kind of getting held up at Banana though at the bottom. Some good pressure kind of slows them down. It's actually a triple Banana play right now from SK Gaming, but 2 in the aggressive position. They might get flushed out by that Molotov.
1-1 trade. Fur has been tagged up through the wall, and Chris J will finish off what Oscar starts. But Fallen and his 5-7 stand tall to deliver 1 kill. Needs to be oh so careful. He's low on health and Zamoli just behind him. That smoke really is keeping him alive at this stage.
Yeah, big to stay alive. He gets an AK as well. Cold and Taco still over on the A side. They're about to feel a lot of heat right now, though, as all 3 remaining players of Mousesports are looking to crack open on this lane and apartment side. See if Taco can hold.
Taco with the CZ. Weapon almost tailor-made for those scenarios. He isn't going to be able to rattle off too many rounds. He is silenced. And now Fallen's AK, 1 on 3. Doesn't have a kit. And again, because of the force buy, they're going to have very little in the next round. Do you feel this is just a case of Fallen backing off and saving the AK?
Oh, you imagine so. I mean, he also has a CZ that he can drop to someone as well, so they can have like 2 guys that have a little bit of firepower on this next round. But other than that, it's going to be, you'd imagine, a full save.
I can see there highlighted the scoreboard up that SK have very little to play with going through into the next round. coldzera's down to $0. Of course, that is going to shift with round loss coming in. But this AK is too important to throw away, plus the CZ, as you highlighted, gives somebody a chance to use the automatic pistol.
And he drops it over to Fur, and he'll keep the AK for himself with that head armor he also saved. Actually, Fur drops the CZ over to Cold and picks up a P250, and Taco will also pick up his CZ. Phelps a 250. No armor, though, so just very light buying here. Give yourself a little bit of a chance to pull something off, but not hamstringing yourself. Making sure you still have that money to buy up in the next round, as Mousesports are off to a great start here at 5-1 on their T side. Again, this was a great map pick for them. Weaker end of the spectrum from SK, and so far they are abusing that. As it looks like they've pulled their apartments lurk of Lau off a bit early, and they've put a little bit more focus on B this time. though they still really haven't made too much headway up. Still just kind of floating around T-stairs. It's just Fallen here with an AK. Again, a lot of responsibility on him. He's the only line of defense, and he goes down immediately. Fur will rotate with that P250 into construction and try to hold on to that at least, but this side is all but Mousesports.
Yeah, only defender is Fur. Phelps is in hot pursuit. There's going to be a smoke to greet him, but Fur is teeing off with P250. Rounds is actually going to take out Oscar and drops Dennis exceptionally low. What a bad trade there by Fur. It probably won't be enough to secure them the round, but it does give them a lifeline. And of course, we're going to have a couple of P250s and CZs in play, and you're going to have a full buy in the next round. Doesn't matter too much if you lose these, so it's worth going for. Fur will pick up another one. This time on to Dennis. Chris J dispatches of him, and it's all on Taco, who is still lumbering around on the A site. CZ in hand. 3 Mousesports players to face off against. Any kill from here would be a nice bonus, but it is looking like Mousesports will take a 6-1 lead.
Yeah, surely. Doesn't have a kit. All he can really hope for is Exit's not even going to find that. He may pick up a gun somewhere, though. I mean, that might be at least something to hold on to here, as he's actually going to push through Banana. There are players waiting for him at the bottom, and there's Lau. Doesn't let him another step further. Swift headshot there.
I tell you what, there, Matt. Mousesports are lucky he didn't have a kit, because they all vacated the area. He'd have had enough time.
Yeah, I guess it's just kind of the confidence that he shouldn't have one in a round like this would probably be the thought process there. We should see a buy coming out from SK, but it's still not going to be the best, obviously, as Fallen will just be on a FAMAS. You got a couple of UMPs in play as well on Phelps and Taco over on the A side of the map. And I mean, I think it's big that Fallen's not having an AWP that much. He's only had it one time this half, and the one time he had it, he got caught not even being able to take a shot. So when you consider how important that usually is for their defense, that's great news for Mousesports here. Is, again, just their typical opening routine, using Dennis to get control of Boiler. Lau, of course, supporting him here from the apartments. And they'll just hold passive on B, so I mean, this is just a standard opening for Mousesports, nothing special. And why not? I mean, it's worked thus far. They haven't really had to make any adjustments. And so we'll just kind of sit tight in a holding pattern here as Mousesports determines what they'd like to shift into. No aggression, really, from SK.
Definitely, the pressure is on SK to change, if anything. Mousesports are happy enough to keep chugging along at this pace.
Yeah. The one change SK has made is it used to be Cold playing that arch rotation position. Now it's Phelps, so they have made a bit of a shift on the positioning on the A bomb site to a degree. That's a little bit of a recent change compared to how they used to play this map in the past. And now SK are looking like they want to gather up and actually start creating some action over here at middle, as you do see Chris J leading the way, the new in-game leader for the team. Also, with Oscar on board as an opera, he's kind of more of an entry guy now. See if he can take some initiation here. Let's have Dennis at Boiler as well. Looks like they are setting up for an apartments crash again. That flash from Oscar will help them get out, but will it stop Cold's angle?
20 seconds left. Not much room for error. Oh, and it's been a complete demolition. A site taken with authority. Mousesports stamping out any of the stragglers that remain. And already SK, I mean, it's a shock to the system. You just got to save, and Fallen's going to waltz his way into library. And Lowell will take his head clean off. Fur just needs to hold on to this M4. Mousesports, what a start this has been to the best of 3.
Yeah, the big difference there was last time they hit an apartments explode like that, they didn't really have the flash on Cold, and so Cole was able to sit up there on the balcony and just spray down. That's the one round that SK won, actually, was off that big defense by Cold and Taco over there by Lane and Pit. But this time around, they had a good flash for Cold. He was never able to get off a shot, and I mean, in the blink of an eye, they had 3 entries on the A-bomb site. I mean, it was so quick. I mean, it was a slow build, but once they decided to make a choice, it was quickly successful for them, and so the lead continues to build up 7-1. Of course, a German organization against a Brazilian one. Memes all around for everyone. Granted, not too many German actual players on Mousesports nowadays, right? I mean, it's pretty much just Dennis. But, you know.
Systematic shutdown on A, followed by a potential B hit, and only Fur here. Does have the M4, of course. Probably the reason why he's on B by himself for the time being. And Oscar, I mean, he's just going to shoulder peek and destroy him. Now Phelps with the CZ, not going to get it done. SK I can't help but feel they haven't really shown up to this game just yet. And that could cost them a map to start things off. All too easy for Mousesports. Line them up, knock them down. SK. This is getting into dangerous territory now, and it's going to be a double AWP to try and fend off against this curse they've been facing.
Yeah, Cole, of course, will have his over on the A side of the map playing. Maybe he'll actually shift now to Arch, and Phelps will go back over to lane with that. But he could opt from lane side. Some oppers will do that. JW is pretty famous for it. Fallen, of course, will have his over at B. Only the second time he'll have had it over here. We'll see if he can make a difference, because right now, Mousesports are just crushing them. Playing some great Counter-Strike here on the T side. I mean, mostly basic stuff, nothing crazy innovative, but just keeping it simple and, you know, really grinding out those fundamentals. They will once again just continue to do kind of this slower build default. Again, they're going to trust Fallen the whole banana solo with the AWP up by the boosted wall. Same as the last time you had the AWP. That time, though, was not successful. We'll see if there's a difference. As once again, Dennis getting control of Boiler, so just getting that initial map control that you'd expect.
Nothing really available for SK. Warp is in the right position to try and strike, maybe feeling antsy to go for some kind of information gathering as they have lost Phelps and coldzera. Will jump on top of that opportunity, feeding off the scraps. That does leave Fall in a precarious position. He's been here before. Oh my goodness, he nearly gets a 2-for-1. They're going to line up from an Oscar. Team kills Chris J. What the hell is going on? It doesn't seem to matter a great deal as they're still going to get the pick onto Fallen. But it's now a 3-on-3. And coldzera has been able to maneuver himself round the back of construction onto the coffins with his AWP. He could get mollied out of position here, but he's going to be hungry for that kill beforehand. Loses a lot of his health in the process. And Oscar will capitalize with a kill onto Fur. Again, looking horrendous for SK Gaming, who are fully invested into this round. Taco needs to get this trade. Rops has seen the shadow on the floor. Just trying to push him away, keep him away from the bomb. And that's allowing Lowell to come in from behind and claim the kill onto Taco. It's all on coldzera, and he gets plucked out of thin air. Rops goes clay pigeon shooting, and Mousesports, I mean, they're winning 9-1, and this has been an incredibly one-sided map of Counter-Strike so far.
Yeah, Fallen just hangs around for so long. So unfortunate that that's not a frag, right? That should have been a 2-for-1 kill. Yeah, he baits out a TK, but at the same time, he could have had 2 kills there. He winds up with none. I think he hung around a little bit too long after he hit that collateral. Like, he really wanted to get that kill. Like, he was playing it a bit risky. Cold Osco played a bit risky there, trying to hang around inside of a Molotov for an op frag. That didn't work either. So it's like SK are taking these kind of calculated risks, but none of them are really panning out, unfortunately. And when you're behind like this, it just kind of keeps compounding on itself, and you just find yourself further and further behind. Just a scout now for Fallen at Banana. Does take a fair amount of damage and doesn't deal any himself. And he'll just try to hold the angle. And Mousesports, again, they have no reason to change things up. No need to fix what's not broken. This Fallen still keeps trying to take cracks. I mean, he's trying to give himself chances. This time he lands the headshot on the Oscar, but quickly traded by Dennis. Not able to get away and maintain that advantage. And now B's a bit vulnerable.
The fact he even gets a kill from that, though, is a testament to his ability with the scout. He's one of the best scout players in the world. Ironically enough, he's against Chris J, who for a long time held that title, in my opinion, especially on maps like Dust 2. He was always mad with that gun. Of course, things have changed up now. Now that Oscar's dead, though, Chris J is going to move back to his old-beloved AWP.
Yep. Don't get to see him tote it around too often on T side, unless they run double op, but he'll have it here as he is trying to take that look over towards CT spawn. No one peeking just quite yet. They still do have Fur inside the site with the UMP. And I mean, they also have a flank coming in through middle, so this is actually going to get a bit dicey for Mousesports. This is a great positioning from SK.
30 seconds to push the site. Rops is going to pick up the first one. Taco. Oh, you could see what he was going for, and he did land a dink, I think, onto Chris J, knocking him exceptionally low. Now Fur has the control of the bomb. There's 16 seconds left. This is actually in the realms of possibility. The Molotov is going to wreck him, though. He has to move out. But no one's pushing behind this. It's going to be 2 separate 1v1s, and Fur is potentially on track to pick this one up. Unfortunately, he switches across to an AK with only 1 bullet. Can he land it? Not quite. Chris J is so close to timing out, and Fur's got it done. It was the scrappiest of rounds, but SK have got their second on the board.
And not only did he only have 1 bullet, but then he threw his pistol as a fake flash. We didn't even have that to pull out to have the extra bullets. That almost got really crazy. Kind of got saved by the clock there, if we're honest. And the big thing was, Fur just waited so patiently back here. He kind of allowed his other players to make the moves and kind of remain hidden throughout all that, right? I mean, they're making plays in CT spawn and coils. You had Taco flanking, so all the attention was kind of drawn away from Fur, who's just sitting in the back of the site by Nubox, and able, you know, to time out the moment just right to make that work. And double op will be in effect for SK, but Chris J has already found the entry for Mousesports here very early on the Taco, who's trying to be a bit more forward inside the apartment. So SK cannot afford another hard reset like this. I mean, that would be devastating, especially when you're investing into double op and you consider how this half has played out thus far. This would be such a big round to lose if you're SK. So much to gain for Mousesports in a round like this. They're already on their way.
I mean, not only would Mousesports cruise to double digits, but SK would be struggling for the rest of this half in terms of economy.
Yep. It'd be like a forced buy to survive situation. We'll see what Fallen can do up deep on logs.
Good first frag, throwing out the incendiary, trying to cordon off any pushes, but it's going to be a return on. Fallen's going to pick up another one. Exquisite work, but it may not be enough to secure the round. It's still up for debate, up for grabs. And as a result of the entries that Mousesports have picked up, it does draw out coldzera on the B side, but Mousesports aren't interested. They're going over on A, as Phelps has just found out firsthand. He just dispatches of Dennis with the M4A1S. Behind the cart, is waiting for a move, and he's found it, but Rops is going to get the upper hand on him. Phelps on the site. The last line of defense, coldzera is going to take another 5 to 10 seconds before he's in any kind of position to strike and help his teammate out, and Phelps has gone down. It's all on coldzera. He's got an AWP. He's landed so many clutches in these scenarios in the past, but all Mousesports have to do is camp in and wait. They've got a crossfire established down the graveyard side of A. Even for coldzera, this is asking a lot. No kit, just a smoke. Mousesports show a pixel, though, that could be all he requires. And he just simply doesn't really have time anymore, and Lowell's going to capitalize on that with a peek. Bit of an anticlimactic end to the round, but Mousesports have done it, and they are going to reset SK once again.
That's devastating. Big plays from that man, Rops. He had 2 really key kills on that round, and we'll get to see him again clearing out pit onto Fur and then finding this kill onto Phelps on the side, kind of the last line of defense that was there. So the new guy getting some impact frags, and you can see the consequences. SK are now a forced buy to survive for the rest of the half, essentially. They're always going to be strained to find much now, as Mousesports have just dominated this half. Last round started off well with Fallen being able to position for 2 kills, which is so characteristic of him, but it just wasn't enough. And now we have Lau finding some aggression in the apartments. He gets the entry on the Taco just as Fallen gets a pick on the B side. So it stays even.
Fallen with the scout. They have put both of their primary weapons, though, over on B, so they're stacking and hoping for the best, and so far so good. SK take a player advantage, but there is still over a minute to play with, so Mousesports aren't forced into this B hit, and they are going to decide to go back to A. It doesn't bode well for coldzera, and it's P250. If they don't check this, though, he could capitalize. He's going to pick up 1 headshot. Looking for a second, he actually gets it. That could be more than enough. Dennis is down to 29. And he's got Phelps, Fur, and Fallen. The triple F threat, and it's Phelps that takes him down. coldzera take a bow.
Yeah, give some props over to the other guys as well. The way that Fallen was peeking CT with the scout really baited well. They never suspected Fur to be boosted when they're, you know, dealing with a scout jiggling around, so he gets a free kill. And then, yeah, just masterclass work from coldzera with the P250 to get those 2 kills, slow them down, whittle their forces, and in a round where they had very little to work with, they still pull it out. Still trying to hang around. Fallen will move the op over to middle. Very rare for him to be out in this position, but he's trying to change it up, see if he can't find himself a pick. He hasn't really been finding much over at B, to be fair, so not a bad idea to try to be a bit more dynamic. But Mousesports, they're looking to pressure B very early on here.
They have 3 mollies. Phelps needs to be also careful. He's going to get a kill, though. Is he able to survive and back off? In fact, he's not interested. There's another 2 players helping him out, so he knows he's got backup. He can actually stay in position behind the sandbags. And very reminiscent to the previous round, Mousesports, who've taken a bit of a beating, a bit of a pounding on the B side, decide that A is the more attractive proposition. But again, Coldzera lays in wait. Taco's going to get burnt out into the open. 1-for-1 trade, but Coldzera and Fur both come through with kills. And SK, who started very slow on this half, are finishing strong and eyeing up a 5-round half, which still wouldn't be great on CT side, but it does give them something to play with.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 3 out of the last 4 rounds, so they've really had a recovery, and they've actually done it in a low economy situation, so not too shabby. And even in the last round of the half, they'll be able to get that double AWP, and for the first time, Mousesports are the ones that are going to be working with a lot less. Just a couple of Tech 9s and a lot more limited on utility than in the past. But they already have such a big lead. They've done more than enough work on their T side, I feel. Obviously, you hate to lose momentum right at the end of the half, but I mean, the numbers are there. So we'll see if they can continue that on as, again, just keeping it standard, get control of the apartments. Dennis will once again kind of lead the way, see if he can't find a pick on lane.
Mousesports in no great rush. 2 Tech 9s means they will have that explosive drive-by power if they require it later through into this round. I'm starting to see some nades come in as Dennis has to slightly move. Molotov in boiler, but not going to be capitalized on from SK, not going to push behind that. It's more of a holding them at arm's reach play than anything else.
It's like a little bit of a smoke ball being lined up over here by the truck, so they really want to see about attacking this lane side, or maybe even faking it and doing a moto wrap. 4 players, though, here for SK.
Oh, that is a money nade. It's chunked a couple of players there, but Robs is still going to get the entry anyway. Phelps gets flashed out and has to back away to the site. Going to use that pop flash to stave off the push, and it does land into 2. Oh, but I think Coldzera just got a 2-for-1 shot. Chris J now with 2 entries of his own. Phelps is going to retaliate. It's back and forth throughout this round, but now Phelps is going to start teeing off more frags. Down to Fallen. Against Lowell, 10 seconds. He'll be able to get this bomb planted, but he's not sure where Fallen's coming from. It's a coin flip. Will it be heads you in, tails I lose territory, though? Fallen will get the drop onto Lowell, but slightly misses out. Now the incendiary is going to force him back into the open, and Fallen will capitalize. SK finish in winning ways, but it will still be 5-10. Mousesports, all things considered, sure the momentum's against them, but the scoreline certainly isn't.
Yeah, I mean, they dominated most of that half, so props to them on being able to roll out the big lead, but great comeback effort here from SK. They win 4 of the last 5 rounds, and they make this at least a manageable game, especially if they can win that pistol second half, roll out the 3-0 start. All of a sudden, you're right at the heels of Mousesports, and that big lead has been eradicated, so we'll see if they can do just that. Again, this was Mousesports' map pick, and again, wasn't a bad idea, and it's off to a good start, but you're starting to see SK wake up a little bit in this game there towards the end, and obviously they are always known for having those formidable T sides with the leadership of Fallen, the system that they have, the roles they're establishing, the deep plate tactics. So it's not going to be the easiest close for Mousesports, but they've done a lot of good work here.
Chris J deep in thought. The IGL, of course, as his team about to switch across to the CT side with a 10-5 lead. The young man of Rops, the Estonian, have to play a pretty big part of this. He's currently 14-8. Statistically, one of the better players on the server. Is joint with Chris J at the top, and Fur alongside Coldzera will be filtering through for SK. Early signs suggest a B hit is on the cards, as Lowell has just found out as he sees a head bobbing up through the wall.
Yeah, SK looking to put the pressure on B very early. Pretty much everyone is here. As they get up to top towards truck, they have 1 smoke for CT and a flash to throw over as well at Fallen. Just kind of pop that out there and try to follow it up. We'll see if it works. So here comes the push.
Chris J just falling back into more passive position, but also tapping and landing a headshot. Can he get any more? Nope, the drive-by jumping frag, of course. The nightmare for a counter-terrorist in these scenarios comes to fruition, and now Fur is going to use the USP against the CTs. The much-needed pistol round will be going convincingly to SK Gaming as Fur picks up a pretty crisp 4K. First job done. Plenty more hurdles to navigate over, however, for SK. They need to make sure they convert the next couple rounds. But this is solid work by Fur.
Yeah, really good entries here by him, just putting that pressure on Banana early and then just getting into construction and cutting off the rotation pretty much single-handedly. You are going to see Mousesports buy up a bit here, but not that much. Just armor for Crochet. He keeps the USP, doesn't upgrade the pistol. Makes me wonder what he's thinking about if double op's an option coming soon on their opening gun round. Obviously, Oscar not taking any armor, just the Deagle. He's definitely going to have it. So that might be some of the thought process going on here. We'll see as Fur looks get a little bit antsy over here at window. Dennis, though, push deep. He might be able, if he gets the right timing, to get a shocking kill on, but no, Taco, he sniffs it out.
I don't know if I'm looking too much into this, but did Fur just shoot his MAC-10 as he landed to try and mask the fact he jumped on the second balcony?
Certainly possible.
Because if he did, I love that play, Fur. I love it. I may just be overlooking things and he just decided to start shooting a few bullets, but I feel like with this caliber of player, every movement means something. Either way, Mousesports have Oscar with the Deagle, close range, only good for the one kill. Nice try. Not quite enough. Drops for the 5-7, very much falls into the same fate, and it's business as usual for SK Gaming. Battered and bruised they were. Chris Jess, a pretty nice headshot, but just delaying the inevitable. Yeah, SK will feel battered and bruised from that previous loss against their Brazilian brothers yesterday. But of course, if they could bring this back and win on Mousesports' Choice of Inferno, that would go some way to healing those wounds.
Yeah, it's also one of those situations where even though they didn't get first seed as expected, the way that the seeding did wind up going, I mean, what, they would play CLG tomorrow if they were to win this series? So that's still not that bad of a seeding for a semifinal despite not getting the top out, just because of how the rest of the group situation played out, right? Like, neither team we expected to get first seed out of their group got it, so no big deal. It's just an extra day of playing for them. They can go ahead and pull through. Big stack by Mousesports right now on Banana, though, so this could get a little bit scary for SK if they fall prey to it. The bomb's not committed, though, and you see them already dropping back, so maybe they're starting to get an idea about what's going on here. As I say that, though, now they're bringing the bomb up deeper to Banana. Taco's still lurking around middle. Maybe he'll get some information to signal something, but or they can just slice through and get the frags.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple safety nets. One, they're sending their expendable weapons in first, and two, they're up against USPs only. So even if Oscar somehow makes a miracle happen with this AK and lands another couple kills, I mean, the round's pretty much done. But yeah, SK dropping the bomb in Banana initially is intelligent, making sure they didn't walk into some kind of a force buy or maybe a couple of P250s. So they have started this half pretty much exactly as they wanted to, with a pistol win and the two subsequent rounds going their way. Phelps also getting in the action with the farming frenzy with his MAC-10 with 3 kills in this round. Some money in the bank. But Mousesports, even after SK been on a tear so far on this half, still will have a 2-round lead going through into their rifle round.
And they can go straight to double op as well. The money's certainly there. Christian, normally a B rotator, could have it on B if he wanted. And then, of course, Oscar, normally playing over towards the arch side, will certainly have his. So that's definitely an option for their opening round with guns on CT. We'll see if they decide to do that route or not. Op definitely already being purchased here for Fallen. They will also keep a couple SMGs in play, though, as well. Try to get a little bit more out of them. Farm a little bit extra cash. Just taking a more conservative approach. As I say that, though, actually no AWPs come out from Mousesports. They actually hold on to that AK that Oscar saved. He doesn't drop it to anyone or anything, and they 4M4 up. So just, I guess, trying to make sure that they set themselves up long-term money-wise.
And I think also prioritizing more nades. But yeah, I mean, Oscar still has 3.1k after picking up the M4. This does afford him the full nades and a kit as well. Match pause comes in, and it's actually from SK. So yeah, obviously trying to figure out as to how they want to aggress now that the rifles are going to be in the side of Mousesports.
Yeah, again, this is a team that has a deep playbook. They're good at pacing changes. They obviously can play standard defaults of just using guys like Taco and Fur to get control of apartments and Boiler, and using guys like Phelps and maybe Fur or Cold as well, or excuse me, as well as Cold or Fallen to help kind of get control of Banana, and to just play off of that, you know, making mid-round reads and adjustments. That's definitely a specialty of Fallen, but they also have some executes up their sleeve. They have some good smoke setups over towards mid for arch traps and, you know, pit smoke walls to attack lane. Like, they have a lot of options they can go to, and they know they need these rounds. You know, they are playing from behind, and they want to make sure they have their best play, and so not a bad idea to take a tactical timeout right away, just to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, so to speak, before you get this half started for real. And so here we go. Round is underway. Mana pressure coming in here from SK, led by Fur.
May have also been a judgment call that SK probably would hold on to their SMGs, and therefore having full assault rifles is maybe the best blockade against that.
Yeah, certainly true.
If you want to go in for those all-out brawls with the spray coming into effect. Mousesports have already expended quite a few of their nades. Still have enough to cordon off areas with 3 smokes still in play. But Apps control, by and large, going the way of the Brazilians now.
Yeah, they actually pulled Fur over, though, just to have that extra weight over towards B early on, and he'll actually stay there with Phelps, so... a little bit something different. Fallen lining up a smoke over here for pit area. Actually looks like he's going to do it for kind of the moto wrap. So again, one of those smoke setups that SK likes to use, but it's actually a sham. They're bringing that bomb back over around a banana. They're just leaving one behind. That's Taco to try to put a little bit of pressure. They're baiting nades out A, and they're holding them in place.
But Mousesports have held into position with 2 players over on the back of the site, and Chris J is going to be one of them. Lowell, the other one, is going to pick up a 2nd kill for his team. Keeping SK honest in this 3-on-3 now. They didn't over-rotate, didn't have anyone over on the CT side. It's held in position, and now with the kits and a few nades, this is in the realms of possibility. Mousesports need this first kill going their way. However, Phelps up on the boxes. Should have the drop on Oscar, but Oscar comes through with a kill of his own. And Coltera, who misses out on his AWP shot, whips out his sidearm and makes that sing for him. Taco with a UMP, last player left, but he's the last to fall for SK Gaming. Mousesports have picked it up, and there's also an AWP there for Dennis. So they're going to take another AWP through. Exceptional work, 11-8.
Yeah, really well played, because SK wasn't doing half bad in that round. I mean, they held the rotation off pretty well over at A. They were able to start cracking into B, you know, trading pretty evenly. That's kind of what you want as a terrorist, but it just didn't work out in the end. So well done by Mousesports here. They'll keep that lead rolling now. SK, of course, still able to get a full buy because they, you know, held on to those SMGs before, didn't do any upgrading, so that leaves them the money for a round like this one. And this time around, you will see Fur back over towards the apartments with Taco, so this is a bit more of the standard setup for them. Just playing at default, giving Fallen's op a chance to go to work a little bit. Not going to find anything, though, at middle. No one's peeking him. Triple banana pressure here from Mousesports early on, but now they will fade Oscar back.
It is something we also saw from SK Gaming as well, having 3 players in B on the banana side for quite some time, but it's going to be Oscar. That is the sweeper. He now is going to go over towards the Archer's side. Going to be joined by Lowell additionally. This will leave Chris J by himself, but there's a smoke down towards the T-step side, so it's going to buy him up some valuable time.
Again, they're just leaving Taco to keep pressure on here at A, but the plan is to fall back over to B, it seems. There's only one player here. It's going to be Chris J with the M4. He's just kind of jiggle peeking around the boosted spot, doesn't want to give up a frag. Sees that utility, drops back into the site. Rotation on Oscar isn't that far off. I mean, it's kind of where you expect it to be, but they have a triple lane set up right now on Mousesports, so a lot of resources committed here. So if they don't give any tell for Oscar to begin to rotate, Chris J is going to get wrecked, and Taco will keep putting utility pressure over here on lane.
The other issue as well, Dust, you look at the amount of nades that Mousesports have. If they can see this bomb plant, they have very little to really work back on here. They've got kits, sure, but it's the nades that are the issue. And now Chris J, the calls came through. I need some help, bros, and the help's just not there. Oscar is far too close to that A site to be any kind of help to his in-game leader. And now this is where the Incendiary and HE have got to pull off some kind of a miracle retake.
I feel like this is one of those situations where even though you still have numbers, like, you just don't have the position to go for this. I mean, there's just really no chance. They, like I said, they committed a lot to having that triple lane set up. Taco did really well in the apartments to kind of give them reason to kind of stabilize and not really rotate. Chris J never really got enough information to safely call for a rotation to get them off of that. And so, again, SK respond, actually resetting Mousesports' economy a bit, but if they save these 4 guns, it will still be fine, of course. They won't really have to do a whole lot of buying. They even have kits and armor on everyone as well, so that makes it even better. But yeah, they just got out-positioned there. There's really no other way to sum that up. So another round goes to SK, now making it 11-9.
Yeah, it was a bit of pill to swallow, but it was the correct decision overall. It's like a 9 out of 10 play. SK hold on to that bomb plant and just outright win. This does afford Mousesports drop a UMP to Chris J. Everyone to be very healthy in terms of nades, and everybody also coming through with the kits. So good news and a 2-round advantage, but Oscar instantly taken out the equation, fallen with the entry. Just what Mousesports were hoping wouldn't happen.
Yeah, Fallen just holding that car angle. It's a pretty easy shot to hit if they decide to aggressively peek you, and he is going to land the mark. And that means they have to rotate over to B to make up for the losses, and that means A is a bit vulnerable, and they already found the entry up lane. Rock's the last player here. He's also taken out, and so a clean sweep of entries for SK Gaming. They'll get another round. Again, Mousesports will have to save guns. And SK are now just a round away from tying this back up, despite being down at 1.105. Actually, it was worse than that at one point. I think it was like 10-1 or 10-2 or something, so...
Yeah, I think it was 9-1 then 10-2. They were really up against it. They won the last 3 rounds in the first half. But that just came down to duels. They had 3 separate duels, all going the way of SK Gaming. And that's always going to be one of the issues when you play against these guys. They are so good individually. Chris J and Lowell holding on for dear life. Want to keep these weapons going through into the next round if they can. But Lowell's now dead, all on Chris J. We're going to have some kind of a crazy hold. The answer, a resounding no. And SK breathing down the necks of Mousesports. Just a 1-round deficit, and Mousesports really have nothing in terms of funds. This is an eco all the way.
Oh, dude, that is going to be the gateway to tie this up for SK Gaming at 11-all, unless they fall prey to something really crazy. But with it being USPs, even if they run into a trap, it's going to be so hard with all the aim punch and just the lack of firepower to really do a whole heck of a lot. They will do a B stack. SK Gaming, though, just, you know, opening up default, nothing special. Phelps will be kind of floating around here just to see if anyone is going to push B. I'm sure SK know that they're up against something fairly low. That's why they're kind of just being reserved about it. Making sure that no aggression catches them off guard. So we may be kind of at a standstill for a bit.
Yeah, roll the dice. They do have the lone flashbang in the hands of Rops on his utility belt. Making sure every angle is clear. All the standard positions where we expect some pesky counter-terrorists to be hiding. And, well, you're going to have the flashbang into a complete massacre. Coldzera and Phelps. 4K to Coldzera. Phelps with the other one. As anticipated, Mousesports lose the round, but right back in with another buy, including Oscar on an AWP. It should be mentioned, though, that a couple of players are lacking in terms of nades. I mean, Oscar just has a smoke. They do have 2 kits.
This is the big round. This is the one that could get Mousesports right back in the driver's seat. But if you lose this, SK take the lead, and you're probably forced to save again. And SK can just keep building it up. They're going to go for that triple banana pressure, something Mousesports like to do early in rounds. They got Oscar there with the AWP. Normal players, Chris J and Lau also here, throwing utility, trying to hold Fallen and company off from getting the peak they want. They follow up a pot flash, but the kills go to SK. Those are some big numbers to lose right off the bat.
And again, Mousesports, they eco, they're waiting patiently to get rifle rounds, and within the first 20 seconds, they've lost 2 players.
Yeah, it's tough. They just really wanted to fight for a banana. Again, that's something they like to do. Unfortunately for them, Phelps and Fallen were more than prepared for it and come away with that very clean. Phelps took a bit of damage, but the reward is so great. Up 5-3 with so much time left on the clock to play around with. And you got to think Fallen, type of guy he is, rarely going to lose rounds like this. Going to be able to manipulate the rotations, going to be able to play it disciplined, should be able to finish this one off.
These are the kind of situations where Mousesports may feel pressured to go looking for information, hence SK just sitting back, waiting, biding their time. They're in no great rush. They know they have the colossal advantage. Some powerful plays up against them. Again, it's all about outmaneuvering the enemy and finding where those weaknesses are. Taco, oh, through the smoke and finishes off Rops. It's like, mate, please. Cut me some slack.
They do need to be a little bit careful. Time is getting low. I mean, if Dennis does something nuts, they could still get wrecked here.
Let's find out if Dennis is going to be able to play his cards right. Bomb starting to get planted. Now into the open he will come, but Cold Zera chilling in the graveyard. Not going to allow Dennis to ruin SK's chances to take the lead, and I think this may be the first time they've been in the lead this entire map.
Yep.
They've always been trailing, but they have now got it where it counts in the home stretch. 12-11 for the Brazilians and Mousesports. All around the 3K mark. It is certainly not looking great, and you have to feel as well, Dust, if Mousesports had any hope of winning this best of 3, Inferno had to go their way.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mousesports are fairly solid on Mirage, but that's just been such a big map for SK alongside Cash and Cobblestone as far as win rate goes. I mean, it was classically a great map for them. It kind of slipped a little bit, it felt like, but with this lineup, they've really built it back up. So it's going to be a tough second map for Mousesports, but we are going to see, again, that save from Mousesports we expected. Again, trying to gamble a bit. 5-man stack on the A bomb site. SK, though, will, again, take their time to work things out. Try to sniff this thing out, not overcommit. They'll send Fur out by himself to probe for information. Gets a free kill in the back on Chris. And he'll start to wrap Moto. Cold still holding Boiler as well. Does get caught out. That might be an AK picked up here by Mouse.
Now, Fur has received a headshot, so this round very much up for grabs now. The debate has been started. Taco looking for the spray through the smoke, not going to quite connect. The downside for Mousesports is they have nobody occupying B. And so Dennis has got to get escape on towards this side, and Fallen jumps upon the ledge and dispatches someone with the AWP. We now holding, providing some overwatch at the back of the site with his AWP. Still a 3-on-3. Positions of SK are too solid. If Mousesports had an incendiary HE, then I mean, this would actually probably be pretty sketchy for SK, but they basically have nothing to face off against. It's going to have to be a raw retake.
Yeah, Oscar, no armor even. They have a couple of AKs, but no kits, no utility. They're just holding for exits at this point. Rop's trying to see if he can't grab another gun. Money's so low on Mousesports, they could use any bit they could get. That did get a bit dicey for a second, though. And as we do see Oscar getting one exit frag, but that's going to be about it. Rops has nothing to lose here, but not able to find anything. And the bomb explosion will actually take everyone from SK out, so I mean, I guess goal accomplished by Mousesports to make sure nothing got carried over, but they're the ones hurting for money a lot more. I mean, there's 5-digit money on everyone in SK. They're not really too worried about having to rebuy. But yeah, I was just saying, like, Fur got isolated there on Moto, and it did get a bit scary for a second. So Mousesports almost got one a little bit early, but SK do hold on, and so they'll have that 13-11 lead. And Mouse, though, will have a bye here. See what they can do. Be one of their last chances at this map, really.
Yep. One lonely round on this half of Mousesports, and that was a very close defuse. So almost flawless by SK when the roles have been reversed, and they've been on the aggressive side. Have lost Fallen early doors, and Mousesports haven't got a lot of early picks when it comes through to their CD side. It's very much been the opposite side of the coin. Nade goes out, a bit too deep, it's not going to lead to the players that were pushing, but Dennis is able to capitalize with a kill. Phelps answers back, Rops in the pit. Not able to capitalize on the couple of pixels he saw darting his way, which were Phelps. Planted. Mousesports have a much better chance of retaking this time around, though. They're simply running out of time. They've got to go for this. 3 separate avenues of retake. A 3-pronged hit back onto the site. Taco spots himself. Oscar knocks him down to 48, knows where 2 players are now as he can see the trajectory of the bullets coming from the app side. Oscar is going to dispatch of Phelps, but calls their answers right back into Lowell. It's not looking good for Mousesports. This has got a whole lot worse as Taco drills Chris J out the round. Oscar has to back away, doesn't have time, needs to make sure he doesn't get killed by the bomb itself, and, well, SK will take a 3-round lead. They're moving to 14.
Indeed they are, and it's just that pacing change from SK Gaming. I mean, every other round, really, you've seen them just kind of sit back and play default and just kind of work things through the mid-round, but this time they decide to change things up, move rapidly up middle. Great work by Phelps with a couple kills he got. And then Taco, I mean, we got to watch him there at the end, just positioning himself so well with that movement, just making sure he never overcommitted a peek. He got the information, though, did a little bit of chip damage here and there, winds up getting a last frag there on the Apartments player. So, again, just really highlighting those fundamentals, being on point. And now Mousesports are in dire straits because they only have a couple of rounds left and money is so low right now. Yeah, they'll be able to get a little bit of purchase going here, but they're still never really going to have a full buy for the rest of this game. Meanwhile, all the money is there for SK Gaming. Even like after everyone's bought up all the way, you still have Coldzera at past 13K. Same with Taco, first hovering just under 10K. So money's never really going to be a problem for SK Gaming.
Yeah, the body language horrific for Mousesports. Again, if you just joined us, they were at one stage winning, I think 9-2, 10-2, somewhere around that mark. They were commanding and bossing it on the T side. SK didn't seem to have any answer for them. And SK finished the first half strong, picked up the second pistol, and from there on in, it's just been one-way traffic. Mousesports only picked up one round on their CT side.
Yeah, and it was on an island as well. They got immediately reset after winning the opening gun round and haven't found anything since. I mean, SK have done it all. They've been able to play their default really well. They've gotten the entries in key moments. They've made big plays when it was necessary, and they've just handled this game so well from a strategical perspective. Not so surprising for SK, of course, as we now finally get into what could be some of the last rounds of this map. Cold wasting no time, just barging his way up Banana, looking for the aggressive peek, but does wind up dying to his own Molotov. He really wanted to take that peek. It's gonna cost him his life as now Mouse try to re-aggress on Banana. The exchanges are going back and forth right now, but it's all even at a 3-on-3. That was some crazy stuff.
I'm sorry, did we just tune out and go to like some random matchmaking game for a second?
Not sure.
There? What was that?
I mean, Coldest really thought he had that sandbags player. He thought he could hang around a bit longer for the frag. Unfortunately, not the case, but a 3-on-3 is still not a bad scenario to be in if you're SK, I suppose, and now they can slow it down and think it through.
I mean, that's one of the few times where 1G spam actually makes sense in chat.
Yeah, people love to abuse it, but that one was deserving of it.
Robs takes out Taco. So, for the first time in quite some time, Mousesports actually have a player advantage on their CT side.
Yeah.
They've got to convert. There's no more room for error. Sure, there'll be more maps to be played after this. They're not down and out just yet, but that's a beautifully timed flashbang.
Yeah, Rop's the real MVP right there. That was a great flash from Pitt, and now it's going to be all on Phelps, who's also going to get completely blind. A return of the favor from Oscar. They pop flash each other for those final 2 kills. There you go.
So here we go again. Coldzera throws the molly and decides, oh, I'm a bit cold. Want to warm myself up. I'm dead. I think Nate did wreck him, though.
Yeah.
On the player behind sandbags, but...
Yeah, he might have actually, without that nade, been able to survive with a little bit of HP left and still try to go for that entry. Just trying to force a play. Didn't work out. No harm, no foul, though.
We'll let him off. I hear he's a pretty decent player.
Yeah, I hear he's pretty good at Counter-Strike.
Oh.
I hear it's only been better with the new rating system.
It also proves that maybe he is human after all. Even players of Coldzera's stature make mistakes. Phelps waiting patiently behind the wall and the smoke. Gonna look to push behind this, but flashes on both sides are gonna neutralize one another, mitigating the utility. Now here we go again in for seconds. Phelps has walked past the play. It's not required because Oscar's there, and this could actually bait Fallen into a false sense of security. Whenever the intelligent player, he's not going to walk into that trap. Instead, he's going to back away with the bomb and join the rest of his team.
Yeah, these Banana skirmishes have really been about even, but this time SK are quick to bounce over into middle, not hesitating. They really want to get something going here right away, but Rops is playing inside pit. They got Dennis in Graveyard. They have a good setup to handle a lane push.
Dennis going to be peeking up and spraying down 2 players. Rops finally chimes in from pit, but he's dispatched off pretty quick by Fallen, who's going to be on the maneuver through onto Graveyard. Mousesports, you are letting this get dangerously close to a clutch. This should have been your round. Chris J has 20 seconds to try and waste. Fallen has no idea where he is. You can see him darting left and right, trying to check all the angles, baiting out. It's both the IGLs playing off against each other. Bomb now will get finalized. Says, screw it, I've got to get this plant stuck. Chris Shea sneaking up to his right-hand side, and Fallen is going to get bested. A huge 1v1 going the way of Mousesports. It shouldn't have got to that situation in the first place, though, all things considered. But Mousesports will take it. It's going to hurt their economy, though.
So they're starting to fit in some rounds here at the end, so they're hanging around. They're not done yet. SK are looking to close this thing out. Fallen almost gets a nice clutch going here in a 1v3 situation. Gets it into a one-on-one. Actually was reading it all pretty well, just didn't hit the shot. So props to Chris J for making sure that one didn't slide through their fingers. And so now they're just one round away from tying it right back up. They are starting to get their economy back in order. I mean, they have a really good buy here. They've done well at Banana to manage things. I mean, not really allowing SK too much of an advantage off of any of the early skirmishes there. And this time SK is going to get away from it. Another pacing change. You can see them heavily committing over towards mid apartments right away. As soon as this utility is out, Fur is going to look to a strike.
Mousesports seemingly rejuvenated after the pause. It's been close, but they've been getting the rounds. They've been grinding them out. Dennis up on the perch is going to be executed alongside Rops, and that A defense once again has crumbled, and Mousesports realized, look, we can't really do this in a 5-on-3. We want to play for the overtime instead. Now on a razor's edge, Inferno tipping on the balance.
Yeah, again, that's just Fallen again, calling for something a bit more rapid, and each time they've tried something faster paced, they have in fact been able to get those entries on short side and convert them into round victories. This one will put them at map point, in fact. As they're just trying to take care of business. They feel like they should have been the first seed yesterday. They finally lost to their students in Immortals. And so now they're just trying to make sure they still make the playoffs, and they're right here on the verge of taking Mousesports' map pick, which was, again, I thought not a bad choice. But it may get past them. We'll see what they can do in these final 2 rounds. They still do have a decent buy coming up.
Max 7 in play. Rops, who typically has been in the pit. It's not a terrible weapon. He can even move into apps with it. I feel like the Max 7's tailor-made for apps. Let's have a look if he actually goes in there or not. Yes, he has. He's going to play aggressive as well, and Taco won't expect this. His head disintegrates. Rops eviscerates him. And he's going to peace out as well. Great opening pick. Just what Mousesports were looking for. Again, though, they've been here so many times, and SK have dug it out somehow, some way. Rops goes in for seconds and thirds as well. Money in the bank. The Max 7 cleaning house, quite literally. And now Fallen down with his AWP. Surely this isn't on the cards. Dennis will not allow him to scurry away. Mousesports, 1 more required. Excellent shotgun work, though, by Rops.
Are you feeling the overtime, Metis? Are you feeling it? Is it there in the pit of your bladder? Of course, we're referring to last night where we had to go 5 overtimes to decide CLG Fnatic on Train. That was crazy stuff. And so we're no strangers to extra rounds, and we may get some here if Mousesports can keep that up. That was big play from Rops to keep them alive on their map pick of Inferno, but still a great purchase from SK Gaming, and their T side has been on point. Fallen, that's the first time you've really seen him take that early of a pick at middle. He's going to grab it. So again, just making those little fine-tuned adjustments is going to get him an early advantage here. So now Mousesports have to play from behind to keep this map going.
2-2 formation. Trying to keep their options open. Utility being expended to try and buy them up more time, but again, SK get the first pick, they back away, and they almost wait for Mousesports to hang themselves at this stage.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of utility at Mousesports. You feel like they had to spin it there to kind of keep the pressure on Banana because they want to push 1 deep. They want to be able to get that extra player over towards the A side of the map. I mean, you have to take gambles like this in a 4-on-5, so they do push Chris J up with the M4. As SK are looking to attack middle, and oh, Chris J might actually be able to catch the bomb as he stares. He does, and he's able to get away. He can't hold on to the bomb, though. He doesn't have the health to stick around. He has to back off, but at least he's even the numbers. And now Oscar used that to his advantage to peek middle late. These are the kills that Mousesports need to carry this map on.
A couple more twists and turns maybe left in this Tail of Inferno yet. Lowell using all 30 bullets to try and stave off the push, but Chris J will go down regardless. So the flames have fallen, bomb planted. And look who it is on SK. Coldzera and Fallen. 2 players that are tailor-made for these situations. Fallen gonna go for the peaks. lands the first one, brings it back into equality. They can't afford to peek him one by one because he will punish, and Fallen comes in for more, and he's very close to just outright winning the round. coldzera goes for the peek, and SK have done it. 16-14, coming back from a horrific first half.
Oh man, that has to hurt so much because they were ahead for so long. They were up 10-2 at one point, and even when SK made the comeback, Mousesports still had a great chance to put that to OT. Chris J makes a big play on the banana push. They get the bomb down. But Fallen, he's a pretty good player, isn't he? With this AWP, he helps them get back into the round they were down after that middle exchange, and then he finishes it off with coldzera. And they do take it in the closest of margins. 16-14, they steal the map away from Mousesports on Inferno.
It's going to be devastating to come so close, yet so far on your choice, and now you're moving across to Mirage, a map where SK are bosses. It doesn't get any easier from here on out.
Yeah, that's a top 3 map in the pool right now for SK Gaming, right there with Cobblestone and Cash. I think they're like 8-1 or something on Mirage, so very good on it. Mousesports, pretty good on Mirage, right? But it's just like the amount of work that SK has put on it and what they've demonstrated, you still got to favor them on it, the 2-0 the series now. Like, you feel like that's the map that Mouse needed to have a shot at this upset.
Definitely the case. But we're going to have to find out if Mousesports can take us into cash after winning Mirage after this very short commercial break.